Tesla's stock has plunged 45% in just a few months. Sales in China have collapsed by 50%, and in Europe, a 29% decline. The reason? Trump's new tariffs on imports from Mexico, China, and other key trading partners. But this is not just about Tesla. These economic shifts are hitting Americans where it hurts. Job losses, higher prices, and an uncertain future. What happens next? Stay with us. What's coming will shock you. The moment Trump's administration imposed aggressive import tariffs, the market responded, and Tesla was one of the biggest losers. The damage so far, Tesla's stock has plummeted 45%, wiping out billions in market value. In China, Tesla's second-largest market, sales have nosedived 50%, handing a massive advantage to Chinese competitors. In Europe, demand has fallen 29% as rising costs make Tesla vehicles less competitive. Why is Tesla taking the hardest hit? Exploding production costs. Tesla relies on imported parts, and with higher tariffs, manufacturing just got more expensive. Supply chain disruptions. Factories in Mexico and Asia are now facing higher trade barriers, slowing down deliveries. Investor panic. The uncertainty surrounding tariffs is making major investors pull back, triggering a sell-off in Tesla's stock. Musk's political gamble. Musk has previously supported Trump on economic policies, but these tariffs are hurting his own companies. Tesla is bleeding. But it's not just them. This crisis is rolling down to the American people. Don't look away. The impact is bigger than you think. Tesla's struggles aren't just about Elon Musk. These tariffs are causing ripple effects across the entire economy, and it's the average American who's feeling the heat. Here's what's happening. Tesla vehicle prices spiked by $5,000 to $10,000 as production costs skyrocket. Over 12,000 jobs in the EV industry are now at risk, with layoffs already happening at factories in Texas, California, and New York. Inflation in the auto industry is surging, making both electric and gas-powered vehicles more expensive for consumers. Bigger economic impacts. Owning an EV just got more expensive. Higher prices mean fewer buyers, slowing down the transition to clean energy. Unemployment is creeping up. When Tesla struggles, the entire EV supply chain suffers. Thousands of workers in battery production, raw materials, and dealerships are in trouble. America's EV leadership is at risk. While Tesla is grappling with higher costs, companies like BYD, China, Volkswagen, Germany, and Hyundai, South Korea, are taking over the market. The bottom line? Americans are paying more and getting less. And if Tesla doesn't adapt fast, the damage will only get worse. It's not just the stock market or factory workers. Tesla is also losing its most valuable asset, customer loyalty. The latest numbers show repeat Tesla buyers in blue states dropped from 72% to 65%, a huge shift. Even in red states, loyalty barely increased from 47.6% to 48.2%. A whopping 32% of American buyers now say they would never consider a Tesla. Why is this happening? Higher prices. Tesla is no longer the affordable EV option it once was. Competitors now offer better deals. Technology issues. While companies like Waymo and Uber are pushing self-driving cars, Tesla's full self-driving still isn't fully functional. Political backlash. Musk's close ties with Trump have turned off a large portion of the consumer base. Tesla is at a crossroads. If they don't rebuild consumer trust, they will lose their leadership in the EV market permanently. Despite the current crisis, Tesla still has a chance to recover if they move fast. What Tesla needs to do now: adjust pricing. They must find ways to cut costs and make their vehicles more affordable again. Expand beyond the US. With tariffs hurting domestic sales, Tesla must focus on markets that aren't impacted. Double down on self-driving tech. If Tesla can perfect full self-driving, they could regain their edge. Improve customer relations. They need to restore trust through better service, pricing, and transparency. The clock is ticking. If Tesla fails to adapt, they could lose their position as the world's top EV manufacturer. Is this the beginning of the end for Tesla, or will they fight back and regain control? The answer is coming soon. 110 billion US dollars. Canada has just implemented an energy retaliation measure against the US. This could cause gas prices and electricity costs to soar. Are you ready to find out the impact of this? Canada is a major supplier, providing 4 million barrels of oil daily to the U.S., accounting for about 10% of America's total crude oil demand. This means that any disruption in energy supply from Canada could create a huge shock to the U.S. economy, especially when Ontario imposes a 25% surcharge on electricity exports.
According to Ontario's Premier Doug Ford, Canada's 25% tariff or surcharge on energy flowing into parts of the U.S. will begin Monday, and that cost will be passed directly to consumers.
It's hurting workers, it's hurting businesses, it's hurting investments, and it's hurting families on both sides of the border. It needs to end. That's why I've been crystal clear. Until these tariffs are off the table, until the threat of tariffs is gone for good, Ontario will not relent.
Millions of Americans will face electricity bills increasing by $100 per month. While this increase might seem small to some, for millions of people in major states like Michigan, New York, and Minnesota, it's an amount they cannot ignore.
Want the ability to turn on their lights without an increased fee. We're talking about New York, Minnesota, and Michigan. 1.5 million customers, but that's by households.
These are the ones directly impacted by the rising costs of electricity and gasoline. And if this trade tension escalates, oil prices could jump by 10 to 20%, leading to increased inflation, pushing living costs even higher and deepening the economic shock. With the rising tariffs and surcharges, electricity prices and consumer goods will increase as well. This will lead to a decline in the purchasing power of Americans, affecting the lives of millions of consumers. States that rely on energy imports from Canada, such as Michigan and New York, will feel the most intense impact. They will face energy shortages, disruptions in electricity supply, and this could create major difficulties in daily life. This not only raises the cost of living, but also affects the U.S. economy, pushing the country into a precarious situation unless timely interventions are made. President Trump is not standing still in the face of these retaliatory measures. He called Ontario's actions hostile and threatened to impose additional tariffs on Canadian goods. This could create economic instability not only in the U.S., but also impact the global market. Instability in the energy market could drive energy prices in the U.S. to soar, leading to an explosion in living costs and pushing the U.S. economy into a financial crisis. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, is not stopping there. He has hinted that Canada could impose additional tariffs on U.S. exports such as wine, food, and cars. This is not just a threat, but a strategy to increase pressure on the U.S. If these retaliatory measures continue to escalate, the cost of living for Americans could rise dramatically, making their economy even more unstable. Under the leadership of Mark Carney, Canada is taking a firmer stance than ever before. Carney not only wants to protect the Canadian economy, but also aims to turn the country into a true energy superpower. The goal is to reduce reliance on the U.S., boost domestic energy production, and build new trade relations with Asia and Europe. If successful, this strategy would minimize U.S. influence and grant Canada greater trade power on the global stage. But this is just the beginning of a confrontation that could change the entire global trade landscape. How will the U.S. react if Canada continues to escalate? And if energy prices soar, how will this impact consumers and the global economy? Stay tuned to see just how far and deep this conflict can go. Follow the next updates with me to not miss any important information. Elon Musk and Trump, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Elon Musk and Donald Trump have just made a shocking statement. The American people must endure economic hardship, but they see it as necessary. So who really pays the price? Millions of American workers. Elon Musk and Trump admit economic recession is necessary. Elon Musk claims that we must live within our means, but in reality, who bears the brunt? The working class suffers while the ultra-rich keep getting wealthier. Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, but who really foots the bill? Not China. It's the American consumers. Higher prices, rising living costs, stagnant wages. Is this what prosperity looks like? Middle class and working Americans are being dragged into an economic downturn they never asked for. The real question is, if this is a necessary strategy, why are ordinary people the ones suffering, while billionaires continue to profit? Trump and Musk's policies are wreaking economic havoc. Trump promised to help workers, but in reality, he and Musk are pushing millions of Americans into unemployment. Biden introduced the CHIPS Act and Infrastructure Act, reviving domestic manufacturing. But instead of leveraging this, Trump waged a trade war, costing thousands of jobs. Meanwhile, Musk laid off thousands of employees, including many who voted for Trump. Job cuts don't just take away employment, they cost the country billions in lost tax revenue. IRS loses staff, fewer taxes collected. FDA loses staff, drug approvals delayed. CFPB loses staff, financial protections weakened. So who is truly being protected here? Elon Musk and Trump target education, causing massive harm. Millions of American students rely on education grants, but Trump and Musk want to slash the Department of Education's budget. Children in low-income states lose access to quality education, while the children of the wealthy attend elite private schools without concern. This budget cut directly affects over 7 million students who depend on Pell Grants to afford college. Fewer graduates, a less skilled workforce. How does an economy grow when the next generation is deprived of education? Destroying services for veterans. Perhaps the most infuriating fact. Trump is cutting 80,000 jobs from the Department of Veterans Affairs. These are the very people who fought for the country, yet now they can't even access medical care. 1/4 of VA staff are veterans themselves. Yet they are being discarded like they don't matter. It's not just the jobs. Funding for veteran support programs is also being slashed. This isn't just about medical care. It's about pushing millions of veterans into financial insecurity, firing watchdogs, destroying anti-corruption oversight. For decades, federal inspectors have exposed corruption and saved taxpayers billions, but Trump fired them all. Now, with no oversight, billions will be lost to waste and fraud. Agencies like the Department of Labor, Department of Defense, and NASA once saved the country hundreds of billions, but now those safeguards are being dismantled. Without accountability, waste increases, corruption thrives, and the American people, they are left with nothing. Final thought. Who wins? Who loses? Americans will keep losing jobs. Families who rely on steady income will face more uncertainty, and economic stability will become a privilege only for the wealthy. Education will suffer. Millions of students will lose access to quality learning, making it harder for future generations to succeed. The rich will continue sending their children to elite schools, while the working class struggles to afford basic education. Veterans will be abandoned. Those who risk their lives for the country will wait even longer for medical care, if they receive it at all. The people who defended the nation are now being cast aside as unnecessary costs. But this is not the whole story. Behind these decisions, a much bigger plan is unfolding. If you want to know what's really happening, stay tuned for the next part right below. Trump is trying to deny responsibility for the current economic situation and the ongoing political controversies, while his approval ratings are plummeting. Instead of facing the facts, he continues to blame the Democratic Party and stir up extremist movements like Dark MAGA. These actions not only reflect his political strategy, but also raise a crucial question. Can Trump maintain his influence, or will he ultimately be left behind in this fiercely competitive political race? This is an issue Trump can't avoid: the economy. Unemployment soared, millions lost their jobs, and businesses large and small were forced to shut down. When looking at the facts, Trump can't continue claiming to be the greatest operator in the face of this. But instead of taking responsibility for the economic crisis that the US faced, he shifts the blame to external factors. He says it's all due to the poor management of the Democratic Party and insists that the hardships people are facing have nothing to do with his policies. Furthermore, Trump's policies, such as tax cuts for large corporations and the wealthy, did not have a significant impact on the working class, where unemployment rates remained high. In reality, his policies primarily benefited the wealthy, while regular Americans struggled. Yet, Trump insists that all the failures are the result of poor management by his political opponents, and none of it is his fault. Could the truth be so clear that it cannot be denied? Despite the decreasing approval ratings, Trump relentlessly seeks financial support, and recently he sent emails urging his supporters to donate to his campaign. In these emails, he not only asks for financial support, but also intensifies his accusations against the Democratic Party, claiming they are threatening the freedom of the country and its citizens. But interestingly, Trump doesn't stop there. He links this situation to the extremist movement he calls Dark MAGA, which he says is fighting for America. Trump argues that this movement represents the fight against control by the elites and socialists who seek to undermine America. He urges his supporters to donate to his campaign to support this fight against censorship and the hostility of Democratic politicians. Predictably, Trump continues using fear and dissatisfaction to reinforce his campaign, with the goal of maintaining power and support among conservative voters. The Dark MAGA movement is not a new concept, but recently, Trump has emphasized its importance. However, when looking deeper into the nature of this movement, many people begin to worry about its potential negative consequences for American politics. Dark MAGA is a call for hardcore conservatives who want to escape the influence of the Democratic Party and restore a more powerful and independent image of America. Trump encourages his supporters to join this movement, stating that only through Dark MAGA can America be saved from the left-wing policies he believes are ruining the country. However, many fear that these calls will only deepen divisions within the U.S., making it harder than ever to find common ground. Trump frames this as a necessary fight, but some critics argue it will further polarize the nation, making it even more difficult to achieve unity. Will this radical movement be the solution to the country's issues, or will it lead to even more destruction? The truth is, as more of his policies fail and more political scandals emerge, Trump's supporters are slowly realizing that he's not the savior they once believed him to be. Polls show a significant drop in support from key voter groups, including independents and women voters. This decline is not just impacting Trump's political career, but also signals that voters are becoming disillusioned with the divisive strategies Trump has been using. Despite this, Trump continues to blame the Democratic Party and relentlessly pushes extremist ideologies, hoping to maintain support from the far right. But is this strategy really enough to keep him in the political game? Or will it eventually backfire, leaving him behind? Elon Musk in the political game. Who really benefits? Can you believe it? A $2.4 billion US government contract was quietly shifted from Verizon to Elon Musk's SpaceX, a highly controversial decision even among Musk's supporters. How did SpaceX manage to secure this lucrative deal? And why are all investigations into Musk and his companies seemingly disappearing? The $2.4 billion FAA contract from Verizon to SpaceX. It all starts with the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. The agency had previously awarded Verizon a $2.4 billion contract to modernize the U.S. air traffic communications system, an essential project ensuring the safety of millions of passengers every day. But then, an unexpected twist. The government is now considering canceling Verizon's contract and handing it over to SpaceX, Musk's company. Is this really about improving technology or just a strategic move to funnel billions more into Musk's empire? It's worth noting that Musk had publicly stated that he would avoid conflicts of interest. But is that really the case? A new form of corruption. Why are Musk's investigations disappearing? Beyond landing massive contracts, Musk seems to possess another remarkable ability, making all investigations into Tesla and SpaceX disappear. FAA had an ongoing investigation into a SpaceX rocket explosion. Now silence. Tesla was fined over $600,000 for safety violations. No one talks about it anymore. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, received over 300 complaints about Tesla. Its leadership was suddenly fired. Look at the agencies that once investigated Musk. Department of Justice, DOJ, Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, all of them had active investigations into Musk's businesses. And the result? Their leaders were replaced, fired, or stripped of power one by one. This isn't just a coincidence, it's part of a new corruption model. Remove those who stand in the way, then pave the path for unchecked business expansion. This raises critical questions. How has Musk managed to manipulate the system so effectively? Who is helping Musk dismantle regulatory barriers? Musk, Trump, and the power network. It's not just about government contracts. Musk is also benefiting from a deeply connected power structure. The SEC ordered Musk to pay $150 million for stock violations. The SEC chair was replaced. The Department of the Interior, DOI, clashed with Musk over environmental concerns. Now, the agency is powerless against him. The Federal Election Commission, FEC, was investigating Musk's political funding. Its leader was fired. Are all these just coincidences? Or is this an entirely new corruption model where those in power eliminate legal barriers for each other, creating an unstoppable business empire? Who truly benefits in the end? Elon Musk presents himself as a warrior against government corruption, but his actions tell a different story, one where legal barriers disappear to serve his business empire. A $2.4 billion FAA contract was awarded to Verizon. But now, without open competition, it's shifting to SpaceX. Is this really about innovation or just another strategic power grab? Investigations into Musk's companies are vanishing. The FAA, DOJ, SEC, and CFPB all had active cases against Tesla and SpaceX. Yet leadership shakeups and firings have silenced them. Regulators are being sidelined. Officials responsible for enforcing corporate accountability are removed, replaced, or stripped of power, ensuring Musk businesses remain untouchable. From stock manipulation to labor violations, every challenge Musk faces seems to dissolve. Is this because his companies are innocent, or because the system is being reshaped in his favor?